Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of What is the Best? I am David,
And I'm Dylan.
and today we're talking video game consoles. Now, to be clear, these are just home consoles, not counting portable systems. That's a whole different conversation, so we're not going to go into it. But video game consoles have been around for a long time. There's been a ton of them between Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Sega back in the day. I mean, if you even want to go back as far to Atari, there's been so many different consoles and developers, so it's hard to narrow it down to just one. It really is. But I think it's a little bit easier for you and me because we weren't born before the 90s, really. I mean, you were born in 89, but we didn't play any of those 80s consoles for the most part. You know, maybe we played a little Super Nintendo or whatever growing up, but we weren't around when those were huge, you know? Really, we didn't probably get into consoles until, at least for me, it was N64 was the first console I really got into. I played Sega Genesis quite a bit before that, but N64 was the first one I personally owned.
We owned a Super Nintendo, me and my brother collectively, but my first actual console that was just mine was the PlayStation, the first one.
Okay, yeah, I also had a PlayStation, but I got it long after. And then I've bought every PlayStation since then. So, best console of all time. And this is a tough one because what defines a best console? Is it the games you play it on? Is it just the console is really fast and works well? Is it just the memories you played at the time? I don't know. It was tough. We actually had to discuss this a little bit before we started recording here. So, Dylan, everything said, what do you pick?
I pick the Xbox 360.
All right, and real quick before we get into that, just to say, I picked the PlayStation 2, the second one. So, Dylan, why did you think that 360 is the best console? By the way, I just want to point out really quick before you start, you look like an albino gorilla. Like one of those like white
Like,
gorillas.
the sun is like going down right at the moment right now, so I'm on fire right now.
Okay.
Anyways, I chose it because it's kind of the first console like that had really good graphics I ever played. And those are kind of, I mean, I know it's not like gameplay is a little bit more important, but that's always been a big deal to me. But I also think it kind of introduced multiplayer more popular, like, introduced more popular online play and stuff like that. So I just know going like after school with my friends, going home and playing Halo and all stuff like that. And also it introduced achievements, which kind of made gameplay even more competitive. Because I know you and Luke, and I mean, I tried to catch up when I was like way behind, but you guys used to compete with Gamerscore all the time. It's just like another fun way to like compete with your friends. And I think it really brought a lot more competitiveness to gameplay. And that's why I think it's one of the best ones.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all the online stuff. That was incredible because I played online on PlayStation 2, and it was okay. But it wasn't until I got a 360 that I really felt like this is what we've been waiting for. And yeah, I totally agree with achievements too. That was one of my favorite things I ever did on stuff. Because before that, on PlayStation 2 stuff, I was always obsessed with like, I want to find everything, I want to unlock everything. And now they gave me like a numerical count to being able to do that I could show to friends and brag about. I didn't have to like boot up every individual game and be like, hey, look, if I go to this level, I've got this thing unlocked. I could just show them the achievements. Like, look, there it is. So that was definitely a really, really cool thing.
I really like when they introduced the avatars, where on some cases, if you unlock the achievement, you actually got something for your avatar to put on. I thought it was a cool way to be like, hey, look what I unlocked, kind of thing. I wish they kind of did that more. They didn't do that too often. I wish they'd done more of that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, what it came down to when I decided to pick best console, it was all about the games that I played. Every console I've ever had, I've really liked the games for the most part. There's a couple that were a little bit more lacking, the Nintendo Wii. But for me, the PlayStation 2 is where I played the most games that I really judged games by. Like, usually if I buy a new video game or I'm excited for something new, I always think back to an older game that I played and like, oh, this is kind of like this. And I feel like my entire basis for that is based around the PlayStation 2 and the games I played there. There were games before that I really liked. On the N64, I had a lot of great memories playing stuff. But the PlayStation 2 was the first system that I ever had that I felt like these aren't just games to play with. These are like pieces of art. Playing games like Shadow of the Colossus or Metal Gear Solid 3 and just seeing like massive environments that were extremely detailed, seeing very interesting stories that I'd never seen anything like it done in a video game or in any medium, really, especially Shadow of the Colossus. That story would never work on any other plane. And to see something told that way was incredible. So really, yeah, I just think it comes down to games for me. Again, I played some online stuff with PlayStation 2, and that was okay. But it was never really about that for me. It was just about single-player experiences. And I think I got the most incredible single-player experiences playing games that were exclusive to the PlayStation 2. Okay, sorry guys. I know that seemed like it was just a second for everyone else, but we actually lost our connection for a second, so we got a little, we lost our train of thought. So Dylan, I had just been just saying something about how good the games were, and how much I appreciated all the artistic creativity and the fact that I felt like a lot of games I played on PlayStation 2 were games that you couldn't experience on any other medium in any other way. Like sometimes, a lot of times movies today, people be like, oh, this should be made into a movie or whatever. And maybe it could be. But I feel like particularly PlayStation 2, there were so many great games that like only would have ever worked as a video game. And that's why I appreciated them so much.
And I feel like I have almost the opposite of you, not saying that the games are bad, but I think the PlayStation 2 might be my least played console ever.
Oh,
It's
really?
like we had one, but it was kind of like my brother's console, and I never really played it. I think I had like a very small amount. I think the only game that comes to mind I can think of that I played a lot of on the PlayStation 2 was probably the Final Fantasy Online game they had, and that's about all I can think of.
Oh, wow. I never played that.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think it was a bad console. I just can't. There's just when I think of consoles, I can't. PlayStation 2 just doesn't come to my mind of like games I played, and not because that's to say they're bad. I think I was just more into the 360 at the time period, or not during the time period, but well, I guess did they come out about the same time?
PlayStation 2 came out way before 360.
That's what I thought. But I mean, like, I think when I got mine, I think it might have been when my brother was moving out into college. So no, I'm just going on a rant that makes no sense now. We should probably cut this.
That's interesting. Yeah, I played mine a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure I played like the Tekken games or anything like that, but no, I can't think of any other game that I possibly played on there.
That's crazy because to me, PlayStation, I always think about it as like, in terms of games that were incredible standalone experiences of stories, that's what I think about that system. There's so many games I played that were just, maybe there were a lot of games I played were sequels and stuff. Like Metal Gear Solid 3 was a sequel, but it was a standalone experience. Resident Evil 4 was a sequel, and it was even GameCube originally, but I played it on PlayStation 2. But it was a standalone experience. There were so many games that were just interesting stories, amazing worlds and level design and stuff that were just like singular experiences. They didn't, like you said, you play Tekken and stuff on there, but Tekken game's a Tekken game. Doesn't really matter. Final Fantasy game, I've never played them. I know that sure the story is all different, whatever. To me, the way I look at it from outside that, it's all the same stuff. I don't care. I just felt like there were so many like breakthroughs in video gaming on that particular system. I feel like most of the games that we played in the next generation on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 were defined by the popular games on PlayStation 2 and Xbox as well.
I just thought of one I actually played the crap out of. Kingdom Hearts I played both 1 and 2. I played the crap out of those on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I never played those at all.
Yeah, those are amazing.
So we've talked a lot about PlayStation. Back to 360 a bit. In terms of gaming, what were some of the things that really stood out to you?
For the 360?
Yeah.
I think I was kind of at a point where I wasn't really looking for story-based stuff because I mean, sure, Halo had its great stuff, but I wouldn't say Halo ever stands out particularly first for its story. It's more for its gameplay.
Yeah.
So I think it was at a point where I was just wanting to play games with my friends, and that had like the most online play, like no multiplayer stuff. So I don't know. I think it was the point where I was more into shooter stuff too, because I remember playing Gears of War and all that stuff like that. Because Gears of War I thought was really really amazing, and I think. I don't know why. For some reason, at the time, I think I never really caught into PlayStation era till like a couple years ago, and I got my PlayStation 3 for the first time. And now I'm more PlayStation. I guess I would say. But yeah, for me, it was just. I think I just like the Fable series. I love the Fable series, so I always was playing Fable on those. I think it just at the time had more games that were just for the 360 that I was more into than I was for the PlayStation 2 or 3 at the time.
Yeah, well, definitely, there was a long time when PlayStation 3 didn't really have anything.
No, it just didn't have much at all, and it was really expensive too because it's the opposite of how it is now. PlayStation 3 was so much more expensive, and 360 was so much cheaper, so it was just more worth it for me to get that. Also, I mean, it had Rock Band, and I played the crap out of Rock Band all the time. So
that's true, and obviously that wasn't console exclusive, but yeah, I think you and all of our friends all had that on 360, so we could all play it on there and all do that. But that reminds me, Rock Band was incredible and everything, but it was PlayStation 2 where I played Guitar Hero, and that was what led me on that road, because Guitar Hero 2 was incredible.
Yeah, see, I didn't actually play any of the older Guitar Heroes really till the 360 when they were like my mom got me a pack that came with like Rock Band 2 and then like some of the other ones or Guitar Hero 2 and all stuff like that. So that's when I got more into those. So yeah, I feel like I just PlayStation 2 era I just kind of like completely missed the boat on most of that.
Okay, so we kind of covered online kind of stuff, gaming experiences and stuff. Another really important part of any console, because the console, it can look like whatever, honestly, but what part are you holding, what part are you actually using to play games with? The controller is super important. So does you said you like the 360 controller a lot. Does that factor into your pick?
Oh, definitely. Like it's probably one of my favorite controllers of all time. It just feels really. It just has a nice heft to it. And feels like it just feels really good and sturdy. And like every time you click something, it just feels really nice. It just has a nice feel to it. I don't say I necessarily hate the PlayStation controller. I mean, the DualShock's fine, but to me, sometimes I feel like the DualShock, the part you're holding at the bottom, just feel too thin, plasticky to me. Like I feel like if I squish this, I can easily break it. And I never feel like I hold a 360 controller, and ever do I feel like I can break this or snap it in half. It just feels really solid and sturdy to me, and that's what I really like about it. Like if I could, get a 360 controller to work on my PlayStation 4, I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's interesting because I like the 360 controller, but everybody I know has always said that like that is one of like maybe the best controller of all time. It tears the PlayStation. I don't know where I was going with that. Tears it. It's way better than the PlayStation controller. I don't know. I don't really know if I like one above the other. Honestly, I know I was just talking about how important video game controllers are, but now that I think about it, I don't know if I really care that much, to be honest.
I think it really depends on. I think it's gotten to a point where it's not as noticeable maybe now. It's like, so it doesn't really matter. I will say like I know you don't, but I play a fair share of fighting games. They're kind of one of my favorite. And playing fighting games on PlayStation, I just have never liked. It's really uncomfortable. Like I'll get calluses on my thumbs all the time just because it's just the transition of how you do things just doesn't feel as. Because the main thing I want to use for the fighting games is I want to use the stick, and the stick is at an awkward place on the PlayStation. It's not as easily accessible like it is for the Xbox 360. So it kind of makes it a little bit more awkward, makes your hand cramp up more when you play games like that. That's one of the reasons I notice a lot of it is because of the stuff games like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I think for me it just depends on the game. I don't really. I feel like I can adjust pretty well to any controller because I know a lot of people have never liked gaming on the Wii because of the controls, and I don't like gaming on the Wii either. But because there aren't really any good games on it, not really so much I mind the controller. Like when I play Twilight Princess or Mario Galaxy, that controller's fine with me. Like I can deal with it. I never played and was like, oh, I'd rather have anything but this. So I guess I can just adjust pretty well. The only thing is, obviously this isn't a video game console, but I never want to play on keyboard and mouse. Like, unless if I'm playing like Civilization or something. But if I'm like playing a 3-dimensional like action shooter game or something, I cannot do that with a keyboard.
No, I could. I see people do it. It's like I don't know how you guys do that. That's just ridiculous. There's just no way I could do that. Especially maybe it's just because a lot of people grew up PC gamers, and I don't think me and you did at all. So maybe we're just so more used to controllers. But yeah, I couldn't do that either. And I will say the PlayStation 4 is a lot more sturdier feeling controller, but I do not like that touchpad thing. It's just really awkward to do in the middle of a game. I don't know why.
Yeah, but do games really call for that though?
No, that's what I'm saying. No. So I bought Injustice went on sale, and I bought that, and there's like small QuickTime event things, and it says, hey, you can enable the touchpad to do the QuickTime events. I was like, okay, sure, I'll do that because I've never used the touchpad before. There was not one QuickTime event against the touchpad. I don't even know why they mentioned it.
Yeah, okay, so that covers, I think, pretty much everything about a console other than the look. And I don't know, I mean, do you really care?
Not really at all, no.
Yeah.
Make it black so it blends into the background, and then I don't care.
Yeah, pretty much as long as it's, like, not a weird color. Like, I don't want a console that's, like, purple or whatever. Like, they made a Wii that was red, I don't care about that. As long as it's, like, black or, like, just a standard white, it's fine. That's fine.
Anything that just doesn't, like, stick out like a sore thumb, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to, when I play my game, I'm not staring at my console. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
It can look like anything as long as it doesn't, like, look retarded.
As long as what's inside is working effectively, yeah. All right, so I think we made all our points. Have any closing thoughts?
I think I won.
All right, you heard it here first. Dylan is the winner. So tune in next time and see who wins that round.
Later, bozos.